will take on probably the toughest front line in America that you could face today in North Carolina's. And the opening tap is controlled to the Tar Heels. Just like that, it doesn't fall for Jackson. Loose ball. And those scrums, those 50-50 opportunities have got to be won by Georgia Tech. Yeah. And it is cleared into Justin Moore's hands. He gives it up to Okogie.
And that's against one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. So not only is North Carolina shooting a high percentage from the floor, but when they do miss, they get a lot of.
Moore with a little teardrop off the glass. Nicely done. Georgia Tech with the first points. Just like that, Justin Jackson. This is going to be like an alumni association gathering for North Carolina in the city of Atlanta. A lot of fans of Georgia Tech have made their way to a bowl game that they're playing in today in football. School is out, so the Tar Heel faithful are going to be heard from today, though this is a road game for Roy Williams' team.
And but welcome to the ACC for Josh Pastner. He starts out his first three: North Carolina, Duke, and Louisville.
How do you do? That one grazed the front iron by Jackson Todrick out of Tifton, Georgia, Tift County High. There's a nice pick. Loose ball taken away by Georgia Tech. Justin Moore. It'll stop and go, and he goes with that same maneuver. This time too strong. Jackson on the break. Numbers 3-on-2, and that pass was deflected.
Not a great decision that time. North Carolina is going to push.
Blocked. And then the follow by Okogie.
I'll tell you what, there was only one light blue jersey back, and you can't give up on a layup like that. It was a great initial defensive play, but there was nobody there for the rebound.
Isaiah Hicks was down there to get that initial block of Moore, but Okogie was able to get the putback. Berry buries it.
Well, we should say that Joel Berry is actually... He's coming back from the effects of a flu bug or a stomach bug, and Roy Williams has it the last couple of days. So Berry just starting to get his strength back.
And by the way, one of those rare situations on the road in the ACC is our broadcast position is right behind Roy Williams in the North Carolina bench. Jackson with a steal and one off the foul from Okogie.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, North Carolina loves to play at a fast pace. You know that. Georgia Tech is going to have to try to calm it down. But you get turnovers like that out in the open floor, and this is an automatic. We talked about Justin Jackson's three-point shooting ability early, but he can get out and run and finish as well.
Didn't take long for Josh Pastner to get Todrick Jackson to the pine after that one. Little shock treatment trip to the bench after that live ball turnover.
Well, you know, Georgia Tech this year, Tim, and we were talking to Josh before the end. The margin for error is really thin this year.
Absolutely.
You know, quite, you know, in every single game. And but he just wants his guys to play hard. You touched on the 50-50 ball.
Stevens with a high riser makes it a 7-6 game. Just over 2.5 minutes gone by. Williams, ill-advised shot from the wing that time, but that youngster can knock him down. And as always, the Tar Heels give green lights to most of the guys on the deck as Moore will be called for the bump against Joel Berry, his first.
How about this then, Kenny? Last year, 1 3-pointer made.
Yeah.
This year, already 17, and I looked at the game against Radford where he had 5 early on.
Look at that. The career wins are one thing, but consider this. 36 NCAA tournament wins in 13 years. In the last 13, he's got 45 overall. And G-Man, that is just amazing.
And a jump shot away from a third national championship
right.
last year.
Indeed. Berry comes up empty this time, and Okogie brings it down. A young kid from Snellville, Georgia, Shiloh High School. They're going to really expect a lot from him. He's going to have to grow up quickly. This is the most inexperienced team in America, Georgia Tech. There's Lammers from the elbow, right where he wants to get it. Around the top of the key, elbow, that's where he can be devastating.
There may be no more improved player in the ACC than Ben Lammers right now, and his numbers compared to last year off the charts.
You have better check Joel Berry. Drain that tray in a heartbeat. Length of the floor, another errant pass, pulled away by Williams. So another turnover. And Berry, this time throws up an air ball. Saved nicely into Lammers' hands. Beautiful job by Quentin Stevens. Numbers, and Heath, who just checked into the game moments ago for Todrick Jackson, was down there with him, and Berry will pick up that foul.
Yeah, first 4 minutes, Tim, that Georgia Tech hasn't been afraid to run with North Carolina and to get out, and that's the way. And you know, and then you raise the question, and you know he's coaching for the future.
Yes,
and he wants to show people and recruits how they're going to play when they're here.
39 years young, and I tell you, it sounds strange to me to say that he's almost 40. I've known him, and you have too, since he played for Lute Olson at Arizona, and he cut his teeth as an assistant, as a grad assistant for him, and then linked up with John Calipari and the Memphis program, was their head coach for 7 years. He's been coaching a bit in a fishbowl in the Mid-South. In that area, it's been tough. I mean, winning tournament games and getting to the tournament is so important. Here at Georgia Tech, he can build the foundation of this program.
Tim, how about this? He won 70% of his games at Memphis, and that wasn't good enough because Cal was winning 90% of his games.
That's right. And we've got a foul underneath. Off the ball, it's going to go. In that conversation that we had with Coach Pazner, he wants to play a game that he can recruit to as well. So don't expect them to ever try to put it in the deep freeze or necessarily limit possessions. Although, as you so aptly put, you don't want to get into a track meet with a team that plays faster than any other team in the country, and that is truly North Carolina. Abdoulaye Gueye in the game now for Georgia Tech, number 34. He's been the backup 5-man for much of the year. Heath, the son of Stan Heath, the former head coach at South Florida and Arkansas, in the game. And there's another pick. Williams has it taken away, and a give-up foul by Justin Moore will be his second of the day.
Third turnover early, and it's not just the turnovers, it's where they're happening. And, you know, right there, I mean, that's just the first pass to a fast break out on the open floor.
Really nothing else that Moore could do to give up that foul. The freshman from San Diego's Mission Bay. And it looks as though Quentin Stevens will get into the game. But they'll have to keep Moore on the floor. Abdoulaye Gueye comes out of the game as Stevens re-enters.
You're going to have to, you know, if you're going to foul on that situation, at least make sure that it's a 2-shot foul. You don't give up a 3-point play.
I think the energy and enthusiasm that Josh Pazner will bring to the recruiting seasons that are ahead for Georgia Tech, that's really what this is all about. Scratch out as many wins with this team as you can, but build for the future. Okogie, nice little wraparound again using the glass. Georgia Tech's hit their last 4.
The Yellow Jackets have done a nice job early on. They've been able to get to the rim off the bounce.
Bradley has come into the game. Keep an eye on him. He's got a great upside. Roy will only play him about 4 or 5 minutes at a time. Williams can't connect. Lammers gets the rebound over Tony Bradley.
That's already the 8th 3-point attempt of the game, and early on, it's probably a little north of where Roy Williams wants these field goal attempts from.
Ooh, taking it to the rack with authority. Count it. And one. Josh Okogie. Well, you can see how quick this young man is.
Well, he's 25th in the league in scoring, and not only the quickest him, but how about the size? Being able to go in, absorb the contact with Bradley, and still finish the play.
Luke May, Bradley, and Joel Berry leave the floor. Woods checking into the game for the first time. Justin Jackson re-enters for North Carolina. Coach Williams will always go about 10 or so deep, but minutes will be limited once you get into conference play. There's another foul committed this time by Isaiah Hicks, his first.
Well, you know what? You look at Quentin Stevens, and one of the ways he's elevated his game is rebounding. He's been forced to play kind of a stretch 4, which was more of a wing player last year, but 8 rebounds a game for him, and he's not a big guy.
Right. Nate Britt, senior backup guard, is coming to the game, number 0, and Blue Heaven Blue. Joined out there by 7th Woods, also a freshman that they hope can get better on the defensive end. It's taken some time for him, as you might expect.
Well, there's a real drop-off when Britt and Woods are on the floor offensively at the point guard position. Nate Britt, obviously, much farther along defensively.
Roderick Jackson, nice bounce pass into Lammers, and with 1 on the clock, the Iron Kind and Georgia Tech has taken a 1-point lead.
We only had to wait 14 minutes for that one, or 6 minutes for that one.
It's a 3-point lead, too.
They got to try to get Lammers some more touches. I mean, he's got a terrific shot and good range.
This is their largest lead, and we say that because this is a David versus Goliath matchup in many ways. That one won't fall, and there's Meeks for the putback. A senior from Charlotte's West Charlotte High. Takes it a 15-14 game.
When he and Hicks are playing well, life is a lot easier for North Carolina, and we talked about their offensive rebounding capabilities. You throw Bradley into that mix, too.
Well, the Tar Heels, one of their last picks from the floor. There's a Kogi. That's a beautiful pass from Heath. Nice work by those two, and Josh Okogie's got 9.
Might find himself a diamond in the rough in Kogi. He's having a terrific start to his freshman year.
Isaiah Hicks counters for North Carolina. Lammers again. Oh, that's one of those with a tie ball with a beautiful block by the Heels. As the ball gets jammed between the backboard, and they've got the clock now set at 22 on the shot clock. That's what it was. Lammers again. North Carolina not doubling. They force a tough shot. Good work by Hicks. Got him into a fall-away situation, and it goes crying off the front iron.
Well, they certainly, Lammers is going to get the respect of a lot of people on scouting reports as based on what he's done to this point.
Well, he thought he got a deflection there, and then it was off Barry, but to no avail. Continuing to lobby with Brian Dorsey there. Georgia Tech by 1. 7.5 minutes gone by here in Atlanta. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski. Happy to have you with us here on the ACC Network. There's an alley-oop inside for Meeks. Woods found him. North Carolina asserts itself. Stevens going to win. Boy, Roy is upset with his defensive floor balance there.
Well, you know what? And they kind of get the tables turned on them. They like to run after a made basket, and that's the last thing you want to have happen. And Williams going to come back in the game now.
Isaiah Hicks turns it over with a walk. Georgia Tech goes to its bench. Kellen McCormick. Young man's coming off a magnificent performance. 12 points, 4 of 5 from three-point range in the second half in their most recent game. Number 32 in white. Out there with Heath, Broderick Jackson, and Quentin Stevens.
You can see Georgia Tech really initiating their offense. All 5 guys above the free throw line.
That's a beautiful find by Heath. Stevens missed the open 3 ball.
They travel.
Yeah, no question. Woods in Georgia Tech history. I mean, we're talking about the grand old days of Dalrymple and Price and some of those guys. So he has been a breath of fresh air for this program that needs that youthful exuberance.
In their wins, he shoots over 50%.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good trending number here early on.
Heath in traffic. Gets that one high, arching off the glass. It's 21-18. Georgia Tech by 3. We've had 6 lead changes already in today's game.
I kind of expected North Carolina to come out and kind of throw a standing 8 count early on, but Georgia Tech has had a nice first 10 minutes, 9 minutes of this game.
And they're pushing it. Jackson again. Well defended that time, and they had numbers. He decided not to give it up.
Well, he should have. It was a 1-on-5 break that time. You got to wait for some friends to come in.
That 3 ball won't go for Brandon Robinson. They are now 2 out of 10 from beyond the arc, so that has certainly aided the Georgia Tech cause, and Jackson picks up his first foul for the Yellow Jackets.
And that was in an effort. He was undersized underneath, but he was trying to block Hicks out and had to pick up the foul.
See Justin Jackson and Nate Britt both coming back onto the floor for Roy Williams. His team's lost twice, both on neutral courts. One in a game that they admittedly did not play well against Indiana, and one epic game, maybe the game of the year in college basketball to this point, against Kentucky.
When was the last time that you saw 2 teams over 100 points in a game?
It's rare. You're right. Isaiah Hicks, baseline extended, now has 6, and it's 21-20 Tech. This offense has been running really through Stevens, and that's just great ball movement. Down, I mean, that's outstanding passing there. The bucket made by Jackson.
Well, they cleared it out, and he's another strongly built guy. He's got a pretty good low box game, and they give Lammers that elbow, and they cleared out the whole left side.
Joel Berry with a little teardrop baseline. He is clearly the leader of this team in every way. You think about it, he asserted himself last year when Page got hurt, and then when Marcus Page got back, his role changed, and Joel was the engineer of that team at the point that made it all the way to the finals against Villanova. That was an ill-advised shot, taken too quickly by Quentin Stevens.
Well, we talk about the offense of this game right now on pace to be played in the 80s by both teams.
Loose ball, and those 50-50s are belonging to Georgia Tech, and that's going to be a foul against North Carolina. Britt got a little too physical in going after that loose ball and picks up the personal.
Okay, you're going to see, you're going to see Todrick Jackson. You see everybody, they start their offense really high, stretches things, and he just does a nice job of getting a deep post. And remember, he's a left-handed player, so he gets on that side of the floor, he's going to be able to finish.
Tar Heel substitutions: number 5, Tony Bradley, and number 32, Luke May.
Tony Bradley's come back onto the floor for North Carolina. Freshman from Barton, Florida. You mentioned his motor is always strong, but they don't necessarily want him to play a lot of minutes at one time. But he's great on the glass. Beautiful pass back door to Moore, and he did everything but finish.
Yeah, and that's that offense being initiated that high. It really makes it difficult for help side defense.
Barry can't get it to go. He was rejected by Lammers, but it's retrieved by Nate Britt. You figure Justin Jackson needs a touch. There he is. You know where it's going once he touches it. Not there. And the loose ball taken down by Todrick Jackson. Well, he simply got in too much of a rush that time, and then a frustration foul committed by Todrick after he had surrendered the ball, and that's the second foul on Todrick Jackson.
Well, there's Lammers. We talked about it, second in the nation in blocks, and that's why he's more of a, not a great leaper, Tim, but more of a timing shot blocker. He'll get it, a couple of feet out of your hands.
His instincts are really good, and I think that the prospects for his being able to play beyond the collegiate level have improved mightily. Luke May gives it up. There's Barry. And the long rebound is run down by Okogie. Okogie giving it up. Stevens wasn't ready for that. Literally. There's another loose ball turnover. Britt. He can't get it to go. May with the putback.
Well, good run out, and that was like I talked about earlier, that you can't just assume that your guy is going to make a layup, and a nice hustle play by Luke May to follow that up on the layup.
Mike, I think Stevens is gassed. I think that's why he missed that pass a moment ago. He's looking for a dead ball situation quickly. Well, the pace of the game is catching up to Georgia Tech.
Well, you got a lot of guys, Tim, that are playing a lot of minutes for Georgia Tech this year that didn't play a lot of minutes last year.
That's true. That's true. Lammers will pick up the floor, G-Man.
Well, that's what we talked about, the trying to limit Georgia Tech. They've only had one three-point attempt in the game, but shooting a very high percentage inside the three-point line. Roy Williams, I think, Tim, sometimes people get so enamored with North Carolina's offense, they forget how good they are defensively this year. You shoot over 50% against this team, you're doing some work.
No question. And if you rebound particularly well, look out. Other ACC games that are underway. Virginia Tech, listen, this is quite a test. First game for Duke since the suspension of one of the most, you think of Grayson Allen and you think of a troubled young man. We hope that Mike Krzyzewski can work that out, and how long he's out, we just don't know. But this is a game that could go against them, against a hot club that Buzz Williams has. And
a confident team. Castle is turning back into a tough place to play, but Grayson Allen is with the team and sitting on the bench.
Loose ball taken away by Hayward. Stevens gives it up to Lammers. He's got Bradley on his hip. Tried to go reversal, but did claim his own rebound. Stevens from downtown. After that magnificent start for Quentin, struggles of late.
And they've done this. Justin Jackson has really not been a part of the offense so far in the game for North Carolina.
Not at all. Not since the opening bell have we heard from him. Loose ball run down by Justin. May with a bad pass, and it's picked off by Heath. Barry's down there, but he blows right by him. That was a poor pass by May, and they made them pay with the quick turnaround, and it's 26-25.
Well, both teams have been capitalizing off of each other's turnover.
Ball was kicked by Okogie. Hicks, Robinson, and Meeks all coming in.
So you can, every time you throw the ball back out to the middle of the floor like that, I mean, it's like a quarterback throwing it in the middle of the field. You're just inviting a turnover at that point.
Substitution number 34.
I think perhaps to some extent you see Abdoulaye Gay coming back onto the floor, and Lammers getting a much-deserved blow. You know, you think about the early start and the quick spurts of both teams coming out of the gates quickly, and now it's sort of settled down a little bit. Maybe the early start time got these guys winded, and the game has settled down now. Defense is sort of ruling the pace of play right now. Another loose ball situation and 50-50 ball that's recovered by Georgia Tech. Numbers, and it's Corey Hayward. Pass Barry. Too strong. That one may have been deflected. I think Barry got a hand on that one. And there's a tough pass that's reeled in by Britt.
Yeah, when Britt's on the floor, he'll be the primary ball handler, and Barry will be the scorer.
Not there. And we've got a tie ball again. And North Carolina has possession. We're on the same side of the floor as the coaches, so we have to wait on any tie ball situation with the alternating possessions.
Well, the thing, Tim, that Georgia Tech, they've done a great job making this a game to this point. Really have to be careful the last 5 minutes and 30 seconds of this half and not let Carolina get on a big run.
Another poor pass. This one by Robinson down around the knees leads to a turnover. Okogie in traffic. Not there. Pulled down by Kennedy Meeks. Well, they had 17 turnovers, the Tar Heels, in their last game. They already have 10 in this one. Lead by 1 with 5 to play in the opening half. But we really have to admire the spunk of Georgia Tech on defense. They are getting a lot of deflections and creating some of these turnovers for North Carolina.
Yeah, you know, and it's, you know, Josh Pastner said he's going to ask a lot of this team, and they've been giving him maximum effort.
Britt from downtown, Kansas.
He's only a 29% shooter from three.
Yeah, the scouting report says give him room, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of found money for North Carolina if he's knocking down threes.
Abdoulaye Gay trying to set some screens for Okogie. And that's a nice veteran move there to induce the foul and the free throws by the freshman. It goes against Robinson, his first.
Another freshman. So, you know, you take advantage of it any way you can on either end of the floor. But so far from watching Okogie, he plays kind of beyond a freshman.
He does.
He's got a maturity about him, and a guy looks like more like an upperclassman.
He had a poor game against North Carolina A&T the other night. He was only 1 of 5 with 3 turnovers in that game, and he had played so well coming up into that game. I'm sure he wants to right the ship. As you see, North Carolina going deep into its bench. Stillman White checking into the game, number 30 in blue, the senior from Wilmington, North Carolina, going to get a few minutes here.
Well, you talk about Lammers. Last year, Tim averaged 15 minutes a game. This year, 34 minutes a game. You know, so that's a big adjustment for a guy to make over the course of the summer and then actual playing time.
Nice move to the basket by Robinson. Can't get it to go. And with the ball down low, I think the foul is going to be given to Todrick Jackson.
Tech foul charge.
And that is his third.
Well, here's the problem. And Georgia Tech has really packed it in defensively, and there's the altered shot. But because Lammers has to go for the block, nobody was covering the weak side offensive glass. And, you know, Kennedy Meeks was basically there by himself.
At the line, shooting.
Jackson decided while the ball was down low against Meeks, he'd try to take advantage, get a deflection or a turnover, and instead he picks up his third, and that will force him to sit, one would think, the rest of the half. Meeks at the strike. 58% on the year. You know, you think about the rebounding machine this guy can be when he gets it going, and Isaiah Hicks simultaneously is as effective. Mike, this is a virtually unstoppable team on the offensive glass. They can, sometimes their best offense is a missed shot.
Well, their best, I mean, you got Hicks and Meeks and Bradley, all terrific offensive rebounders in their own right. So that's a good three-man rotation for two spots.
How about Heath just willing his way up there? Ball was halfway down the cylinder and out. Young man has played strong since coming into the game very early for Moore. Now he's out there with it.
You can see how packed in Georgia Tech is. I mean, they're just going to dare North Carolina to take three-point shots. Issue's going to be getting that first ball missed.
Again, a poor pass thrown at the knees of Jackson, but it's recovered to Stillman White. Not there. The loose ball taken down by Heath.
Very nice recovery by North Carolina in transition.
There's another steal. Lazy pass that time by Heath, and Britt with the pilfer and the deuce.
Well, if you're going to make cross-court passes against North Carolina, they've got to be short and they've got to have some zip to them. Those guys, they do a terrific job of shooting the gap out front.
32-27. Largest lead for North Carolina, only 5. Lammers trying to read a possible double team. It does not happen, and he comes up short with that one. Robinson has it stolen by Stevens. Nice anticipation. Moore on the other end. He gets it to go. Beautiful work there by Stevens to time that takeaway, and it's 32-29.
Yeah, got away with it. I mean, he's got extremely long arms. Didn't slide his feet very well, but he was able to get the steal and get a hand in.
Meeks quickly doubled. Gives it back up to Britt. Joel Berry will check in on the next dead ball for North Carolina. There's Justin Jackson.
Tim, that's only his 5th field goal attempt of the half, and this is their leading scorer.
That ball by Robinson. Thrown. Look at that veteran staff of Roy Williams, Steve Robinson, one-time head coach at Florida State, and been with Roy since his days at Kansas. Hubert Davis, a sharpshooter from the past, and C.B. McGrath. Tough inbounds pass, and that's going to go the other way. Georgia Tech.
Stillman White getting the foul.
How about that?
And how many times do you see it, Tim? You know, I'll tell you something. Every game you almost see it once. That long inbounds pass from underneath the basket turns into a turnover, 2 points, or a foul.
That's something North Carolina generally does to its opponent. Just getting the ball inbound sometimes is a very difficult thing to do. Jackson all over Stevens here. He still decides to press it. Can't get it to go. Joel Berry, after the timeout, back out there to operate for North Carolina. Likely to take it all the way to the intermission. Another tough pass made in midair, and that leads to another tie-up.
But it's early on, the first 10 minutes, this game looked like it was heading to the 80s. Yeah. Now it's lucky if we get to the 60s. And it's really slowed down in the last 8 minutes.
And some sloppy passing from North Carolina has led to a lot of this. They've now got 13 turnovers, and the passes have been well-intentioned but not well executed. Many times bounce passes down around the ankles, difficult for big men to reel in. There's Lammers with no double team. He decides to take it with the jump hook. Can't get it to go, and it's pulled down by Kenny Williams.
Yeah, until he starts making shots and hurting them down there, they'll play single coverage and stay with other guys. No need to go and double team him.
That's Sperry's spot. Ooh, the iron really unkind to him after a couple of early makes. And again, Heath looks to push it quickly. Okogie. Jackson pulls it down. North Carolina now 3 of 14 from downtown, Mike. Well, that has a lot to do with why Georgia Tech has been able to maintain contact in this game. Jackson. Very quick with that one. Coming into the regular season of the ACC at 8-4. He said at the beginning of the season, if you told me we'd be 8-4, I would give you a big kiss.
Yep, and he's never in his coaching career, Tim, out with this, and Okogie with the strong take, he's never lost 3 games in a row. Ever. 7 years.
North Carolina now, after Okogie's drive, gets the opportunity to take the final shot of the half. An air ball is thrown up by Kenny Williams, and that will do it.
Yeah, got in on the second one.
Well, let's see if they can. This is 11 steals for Georgia Tech in the first half. That eclipsed the season high that they had of 10, and they got that in one half against North Carolina. The ball was knocked away by Georgia Tech. North Carolina will trigger it in underneath their own basket. Now, I mentioned this Tar Heel team, 9th in the country, has lost twice. I misspoke earlier. The one loss at Bloomington rather than a neutral site. I mistakenly thought that it had been played in Indianapolis. But the other game against Kentucky, I still believe was the best game played this year. And Roy Williams knows, had they protected the ball a little better late, they might have won that game.
Well, I've never seen a team punch North Carolina in the mouth like Indiana did in that game early on the first 10 minutes. I thought North Carolina played a much better second half, but it was too deep a hole at that point.
Quentin Stevens had a very good first 10 minutes in the first half. He gives it up to Okogie, then goes after the offensive board, but throws it right into the hands of Hicks. Berry blows past Moore, and then gives it up at the inopportune time to Hicks. Jackson, and that's going to be a block.
Yeah, good call that time, and unusual for Joel Berry. Tim, you never leave your feet as a passer. You leave your feet as a shooter. And he got himself in trouble and then couldn't complete the pass. And this is off to the races. And Jackson, they forced him to go right, but just speed up the floor was able to get him a layup.
Todrick Jackson gets to the free throw line. Only 49% as guards. You've got to do better than that. You're going to be controlling the ball a great deal of the time. Hard to believe that a guy that has as good a look with his shot as that would be under 50%. Well, he missed everything there.
Yeah, that's just a confidence thing at this point, his stroke. And I think coming in, he's a junior. There were a lot of expectations, a local product, and he just has never quite lived up to what was expected of him. But he's a double-figure scorer this year, over 12 points.
Looking at those scores, Mike, it's a 16-point lead now for Virginia Tech over Duke. There's another steal by Jackson. Out to Moore. And he's fouled. Williams going hard, as was Berry. But the foul will go against Joel Berry.
There it is in the open. This is a couple of breaks now out on the open floor for the Yellow Jackets. And do you think the castle is rocking at this point?
You think? That replay will prove yet again that it is a contact sport, this game. That's a season high, and they had that at halftime with 11. Coming against the North Carolina team that you would figure would do a better job of protecting the ball, although they did turn it over 17 times in their last game out. A 1-point game, 1 minute deep here into the second half. I should say tie game, tied at 32. Williams with the answer.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, it's a nice medium range jump shot, but the more you let a team like Georgia Tech linger, the more confidence they're going to play with.
Boy, Moore just has been running that little curl pattern all afternoon long. That one won't go from deep for Okogie. Yet another recycle, and here's Stevens for three. Not there, and Barry comes down with a long rebound. That's a 1-on-3 breakaway, and it's going to be Jackson tagged with the block.
I was a little surprised that he put his head down and went to the basket. He got bailed out, and that's the fourth personal foul.
That's the fourth foul on Todrick Jackson, and really kind of a tough luck fourth when you think about it. He was in position to get the charge, but he did move his hips a bit, and that's what garnered him the block, and that's what's coming up next. Number 24, Notre Dame at Pittsburgh.
I bet you what he thought was going to happen to him was that he thought that Barry was going to pull it back out, and it shocked him a little bit that he was as aggressive as he was.
That game between Notre Dame and Pitt will be going to most of our Atlantic Coast Conference stations across the ACC network.
Kevin Stallings getting his initiation into the ACC.
Justin Jackson's come up empty of late. The streaky shooter that he is, he's been really hot this season. Was not early last year, and that loose ball foul goes against Williams, his second for North Carolina. Kenny Williams, along with Isaiah Hicks, Meeks, Justin Jackson, and Barry, the five on the deck. Beautiful passing, but great recovery. Moore trying to stay with it, and finally, an by the way, reach-in foul against Isaiah Hicks.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect, I mean, at halftime, it was a plus 15 rebounding for North Carolina, and you wouldn't expect Georgia Tech to get multiple chances at the basket.
Justin Moore at the line, shooting 2.
First 5 to 6 minutes of the first half, Mike, both teams were just lights out, shooting it very well. Then when the shots stopped falling, I think for Georgia Tech, they got a little tired. North Carolina got a little sloppy.
Yeah, and usually it's the other way around. You have a noon start. So a lot of times teams are slow out of the gate, and then you come on, you build as the game goes on. That was just in reverse.
Moore gets one of the two.
I'm surprised that North Carolina really has not gotten much inside at all. Their bigs have not gotten many touches.
Jackson. A strong move and rejected on the putback. Numbers for Moore. 3-on-2. Okogie loses it. Save to Stevens for three.
Ball starts moving around, everybody gets out of position defensively, and invariably you get a good look at a three.
7 in the game for Quentin Stevens. The lead is 2 for Georgia Tech. 3 minutes gone by in the second half. Barry. Not there. Meeks trying to keep it alive. Tapped out by Lammers. Smart move. Numbers again. Moore on the receiving end from Okogie. And the lead is up to 4.
Well, we thought early on that Georgia Tech might have a hard time winning this crowd over. A lot of North Carolina fans here, but they're starting to sway a little bit.
A little chant of defense coming from the locals here at McCamish Pavilion. Barry, not there. Hicks has it slapped away. Again, quick hands from Heath.
Well, you bring the ball down like that, and you bring the guards into play.
That's going to be an offensive foul against Okogie. And that's one that Josh Pastner will not agree with.
Yeah, here's a look, and they've been terrific, and when they hadn't been scoring layups, and they've been getting to the free throw line.
Well, that's the first time I've seen Josh upset. This is now an 11-2 run in the last 6:21, so going back to the end of the first half and the opening moments of the second. North Carolina's jacking up quick shots that aren't falling, and Georgia Tech is able to keep this run alive. Moore with a jump stop has it stripped. Joel Barry comes out of there with it again. 50-50 balls and hustle plays have been with all Yellow Jackets here. Williams. Luke May with the putback.
Yeah, it was one of the first scores off an offensive rebound that they've had. Good positioning on the weak side.
Nate Britt will come in on the next dead ball for North Carolina. Lammers, blind meets. Not enabling us and these young men to play the game and enjoy the game that we all love. You see the shooting woes for North Carolina down to 30% today. A team that has not only won with possessions but productive sequences in their possessions, and it hasn't been there for them today, Mike.
No, and the offensive rebounds let them down to a degree as well.
May with a reach in and turnover that he creates. So let's see if Luke May can help this team in a complimentary role. That's another poor pass that was almost picked away by Georgia Tech. Britt on the wing. Well, that's 2 times they've left him alone, Mike. He has struggled. That one was a 2-pointer, not a 3-pointer.
Well, you're shooting 32% from the floor, 29 from 3. You're going to challenge that guy to make some shots.
And there's Britt getting his hand in there again. Leaves it for May, the follow.
All right, that was really a smart play by Nate Britt.
The number 0 to prove people wrong who say he's worth nothing. It has meaning to him to wear that numeral. He's meant a lot to North Carolina today in a game where their usual offensive suspects have gone quiet. Corey Hayward, son of Ironhead, playing in a complimentary role, number 30 in white. And here's Stevens on a blow-by, and there's going to be a foul whistled against May, reaching in, and you can see that Roy's not at all pleased with some of what he's seen today, and it wasn't in the best of moods because of the sickness that he was going through prior to today's game.
But that's a great recognition by Stevens. Saw May on him, and that's a tough cover for him, so he just faced up and went off the dribble. I wouldn't be surprised to see him try that again.
Heath finds an open Stevens, spotting up for 3 again. He can't get it to go, and it's pulled down by Kennedy Meeks. Beautiful pass to Meeks, and he missed a tippy. What you wonder, because of the little flu bug that's been going through, Kennedy's experienced it, passed on to Roy. And they look a step slow out here today, North Carolina.
Well, I would expect that maybe on 3-point shooting, but that's a layup.
Yep.
And they've missed several of them in this game.
And there's a reach-in foul again as Heath relentlessly attacks the 10 and going with those back cuts. Joel Berry picks up his 3rd foul, and that'll force Roy to take a look at his bench and get Kenny Williams up. Say this for the Yellow Jackets. They don't often get the bucket to go because of the tall timber that North Carolina has, but that hasn't stopped them from the driving lanes.
No, and the guards have done a nice job getting inside defensively. They've dug in and gotten some steals. Lammers has had a quiet afternoon, this team looks, if this is any indication, they're going to be scrappy all year long.
And to Lammers' defense, when you're playing against that many bigs, and North Carolina will run 3 of them at you, and you're concentrating a lot more on your defense possibly than offense. Luke May on the wing. Not there. Williams explodes to the offensive boards for that recycle.
Yeah, they need to get Justin Jackson going and get some offense.
Britt again with a 3-ball off the wing.
Yeah, you can see he's got some confidence. All right, now he's proven he can make that shot in this game. You've got to come out and cover.
He's got 8. Still 4 of 20 from 3, though, North Carolina as a team. And Lammers this time is fouled as he takes it inside. Hicks gets his 3rd foul. So foul difficulty, G-Man, is going to be an issue with Berry sitting with 3 and Hicks also with 3 fouls.
Well, they're already in the 1-and-1 with 13 minutes to go in the half, so that's a good sign for Georgia Tech, 65% on the year.
Corey Hayward checks out of the game.
I think if you're Lammers, he's not a guy who's going to go up and hammer 3 people through the basket. Probably better served him a lot of times to go underneath the basket, use that as an ally.
He's had 6 double-doubles, and, he wasn't even close to that many double-doubles a season ago in a full season. Young man's doing some things that he's never before accomplished in just the first 12 games of the Josh Pazner era.
And he's back.
Yeah.
You know, he's only a junior. So, you know, to have him blossom like that and come back and play his senior year. And right now, Virginia Tech taking care of business against Duke.
Yeah. And for Georgia Tech, the cavalry is coming through recruiting already for Pazner with next year's class. Hicks a fall away. He rattles that one home.
One thing he said he's going to be looking for, he's always had great shooters on his team. And that's going to be a priority over the next couple of years. Plus, they've got a point guard from New York that he really loves is coming in.
Well, that's how Bobby Crimmins built it. Outstanding guard play, and a lot of it from New York. Shot clock under 10. North Carolina lead is 3. Beautiful pass. Okogie off the bounce pass delivery from Lammers. 45-44.
I love using the bounce pass in that instance. It's really tough to get a hand on, and Georgia Tech with this offense does a nice job of back cutting.
Yeah, that looked like a cutting spinarcle from Jaminski there.
No, it wouldn't have been from me. I would have shot it.
Hicks loses it on the way up. Okogie on the other end. Stop and go. Stevens with a putback. I think we're going to have a push prior to that. North Carolina with contact. It goes against Luke May. 45. Has now been able to really emerge at the position. And Okogie is having himself quite an afternoon as well. This freshman, who's played so well, has managed to get to the line a lot. He's up to 14 points. Coming into today's game, he had been at the free throw line 68 times.
And a lot of that is just because of his strength and explosiveness and not in being fearless and going into the paint.
Game 1 of the ACC season on the ACC Network and Raycom Sports, celebrating its 35th anniversary. McCamish Pavilion in Atlanta. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski. Happy to have you with us. First of 2 today on the ACC Network. Length of the floor. Here's Okogie yet again, taking it right to the rack. North Carolina recovered that time, and Nate Britt comes out of there with it. Barry has not been himself today. Britt has acquitted himself nicely with 8 points off of the Carolina bench. Robinson looking for some help, and that was a reach-in foul off of the backside. I think Heath got him. Josh Heath will be tagged with that foul. Senior from Tampa. We mentioned transfer from South Florida, where he was with his dad, Stan, one-time head coach at Arkansas, and then at South Florida.
We talked about that Georgia Tech is shooting free throws right now. That was only the 3rd team foul, so they're a ways away from putting North Carolina on the line.
They can take a lot more chances than the Tar Heels at this stage. Barry back on the floor, and Okogie will get him with a hand check. 3rd foul on Josh Okogie. And that's one that I'm sure Josh Pazner wishes he still had in his hip pocket, because he just does not have the depth that North Carolina does. Tar Heels have a couple of guys playing with 3, Hicks and Barry. His time will be limited. That pass from May was a little too high from Joel Barry and leads to yet another turnover. Mike, North 19. Carolina, they're up to 19 now.
Yep.
The most given up in the Roy Williams era, 26 in a single game. We've got 10, almost 11 minutes left to play. There you see the difference, 19 to 11.
The only thing is, though, Tim, that Georgia Tech is not capitalizing as much as they should on those turnovers.
May gets the foul, his 3rd.
They've only got 11 points off of turnovers, so consider that they've scored on 5 of 6 of the 19 turnovers. You've got a better conversion rate than that.
When you look at this Georgia Tech team, and this is one of the issues I think that Josh Pazner understands he's going to deal with no prolific scorer. Now, they got some guys that can shoot it from time to time. Okogie is a driver to the basket, but they don't have that knockout punch from deep. You know, Ben Lammers is probably the guy that is going to get the lion's share of point production.
I'm thinking that as the season goes along, that Josh Okogie may be that go-to guy at the end of the game.
He may be.
You touched on his ability to get to the line and create shots from off the dribble.
Yellow Jackets on a 6-0 run and lead by 3 with 10.5 to play.
but it's not a Yellow Jacket team that's going to beat you by a 3-point shot. They're one of the worst in the country.
Robinson on the wing. Can't get it to go. Good block out that time by Heath, enabling Lammers the rebound. Stevens wide open for three. Not there.
And Stevens has just not been able to find the range. 1 of 5 now from 3.
Jackson, yes, and a foul.
Just goaltending.
Oh, they're going to get goaltending. No foul, just going to call goaltending.
Here's the look, and
it went in anyway. I thought that was a foul.
Yeah, Lammers got
it should have been an and one. 48-47, Georgia Tech by 1. Tough pass, but Heath saves it. Okogie needs help. He's trapped. Heath wide open for the trade. Stevens the rebound. Boy, Moore turning down shots. This is the dilemma that Georgia Tech has. Who wants to take the open shot?
Well, they're 1 of 8 from 3 now, so it's probably better served by putting it on the floor.
Heath the pull-up. That in-between game, a lost art. It's 50-47 and 6 points in the game now for Josh Heath.
Well, it's not a huge North Carolina team that's out there right now, but I think smart by Heath rather than trying to force it to shoot that little floater.
Ball was tipped by Heath. A lot of deflections by this Yellow Jacket perimeter that forced some of these North Carolina turnovers. There's Lammers with a quick hand to tap it out. Lead pass to Okogie. And he'll wait for some help. Lammers, tough pass.
That's a foul on Stevens.
Yep. Stevens.
Georgia Tech is daring them to shoot from the outside as well. I mean, they're really packed in tightly in that zone, and they've done a little better job. You mentioned, Lammers smart. He couldn't get that rebound, but he tipped it to a teammate to keep it alive.
Yellow Jackets haven't been lighting it up, but their defense has certainly had something to do with North Carolina's issues on this end of the floor. Jackson with the pull-up and splitting that double team. He'll get to the free throw line.
And I think if you're Josh Pastner, that you're going to live with running him off of the three-point line and not letting Justin Jackson get a good look from the perimeter. I think there was a little bit of frustration. He normally doesn't hunt for his offense, but you get that look in his eye. That shot was going up.
Justin Jackson at the free throw line. Struggle for him today with just 3 out of 10 from the floor. He had a big game against Monmouth last time out. 28 on 9 of 15 and was 6 of 9 from downtown. 5 and 1/2 at 1 point in that game.
Still plenty of time in this game, though, for him to come alive. And, good scorers have a way of shedding that past and getting started anew.
McCormick being checked by Williams. Shot clock under 10.
Standing around right now for Georgia Tech in this possession.
High pick from Lammers. Heath jacks it up and drops it through. Nothing but highlight.
34 seconds of terrific defense and got a standing around, and then Heath bails him out. Only 2 of 9 from 3 coming into this on the year.
No question. Defensive work by Stevens, deflecting Meeks. And now the locals are standing, and they can feel it with 7.5 to play and a 4-point Yellow Jacket lead. Stevens runs the curl, and he's going to be fouled.
Roy 8 from 3, no assists and 6 turnovers in the game.
Nate Britt, who has been struggling, admittedly, from an offensive standpoint. He's a very good defensive player. But, he's really helped them. Here's 8 points coming off the bench, and
10 now.
Now 10 points.
4 of 5 shooting.
He's really bailed him out in a lot of ways. 55-49, though. Georgia Tech by 6, 7:20 and counting. Welcome to conference play, ladies and gentlemen. There is no fear, no matter the name on the front of the jersey. Boy, look at Heath get his hand in there, almost a pick. Shot clock now down to 7. North Carolina looks to Stillman White to initiate. Jackson for three. Not there, and it's pulled down by Moore. That was an outstanding defensive sequence for the Jackets.
Yeah, you get a contested jump shot like that, and Jackson clearly struggling today. A compact zone, and they've also cleaned up the defensive glass.
McCormick back into the game. Complimentary player has not taken a shot in this game and played well the other night. Stevens looks to Lammers and throws it away. Was he on the inline? He was. Great for Georgia Tech. Britt had it, but his foot was on the baseline.
And that was going to be a 4-on-5 situation because Lammers took a hard fall and didn't look like he was going to be able to get back into play. He was right there, an ill-advised time to look, and there it is. That was a great call by the official.
Dorsey, Covington, and Clougherty were on top of that one, and here's a turnover off the inbounds. Hicks, yes, and a foul. However, so wave it off, no continuation. The Tar Heel faithful and coaching staff disagree.
Wow, here's a play I did, and that was again, an ill-advised pass. And Britt did a nice job. That's got to be a good basket. Yeah. I mean, he was clearly in the shooting motion.
A huge break for Georgia Tech. Hicks gets the first.
I mean, sometimes in the pros you get a generous and one situation, but I thought he was clearly going up to the basket.
Yeah, that was missed. And I think Bill Covington, who made the call, knows it. 55-50. Still a huge break for Georgia Tech. Listen to the North Carolina fans. Clearly they're outnumbering Georgia Tech's today in the Jackets' home building.
First time I've heard the chant of defense at both ends of the floor in one building.
Shot clock violation. So Roy Williams got what he wanted.
And it was a zone that time.
Use it, embrace it, and build on it.
Well, I tell you what, Tim, if I'm guarding Georgia Tech right now, I'm not guarding anybody outside of 15 feet. I mean, they're going to have to make jump shots against me to win this game.
Barry is out there on the floor with 4 fouls, along with Britt. Jackson looking to heat up with that floater that does not go.
When was the last time that North Carolina got something out in the open floor, either off of a fast break or a turnover?
Justin Moore, the freshman from San Diego, controlling it. Lammers setting a high pick. Heath with the dump down to Lammers. It all starts here for Georgia Tech. The fall away does go. 57-50, Georgia Tech's largest lead. On the other end, strong move for Hicks that doesn't go out of bounds to the Yellow Jackets.
I'm almost getting a sense to see a little panic out there by North Carolina. And this is again, he's smart. He knows he's not getting double teamed. And a nice duck into the lane.
Okogie has 3 personal fouls. Heath with 3 personal fouls. North Carolina has Barry with 4 and others with 3. Inside move on the double team. It's going to be a charge. Player control foul against Justin Moore. That's his 3rd.
Well, what's going to happen? That was good defense, but now that Georgia Tech can extend, and North Carolina's going to have to chase it a little bit defensively, and that's going to open up some driving lanes.
Justin Jackson's inability to make shots, and he's had some good looks, Mike. I think that's one of the reasons why you can see this concern among the North Carolina players on the floor, because they're out. He's been pitching really outstanding games offensively. Britt again, and he's been the saving grace. Nate Britt with another 3-ball. He knocks it down, and it's 57-53. He's got 11.
Well, just terrific. I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to step up, and talked about Joel Berry having an off game, but Nate Britt's been terrific.
Beautiful pass again by Lammers. That's going to be a block, and it goes against Britt. His second. Lammers is such a good passer of the ball.
Well, at his size, you know, they've got him up at the high post. He can see over people. They have great spacing. There are a lot of cutting lanes out on the floor.
Earlier this week, Mike, North Carolina played in the national championship game a year ago against Villanova, and one of the greatest games I think we've ever seen in our lifetimes in the national finals. They played earlier this week, Villanova at home in the pavilion, and we're lucky to get out alive against DePaul.
Yep.
And now here's Roy Williams in his team's first ACC game of the year. And they're up against it now against this Georgia Tech team on the road.
What did Josh say before the game to us? He says, if somebody asked him, if you win one game in the ACC this year, you should be coach of the year. He may lock it up today.
Yeah, his athletic director at the time that hired him, Mike Bobensky. That's exactly what he told him. See if Britt looks for his own shot, and he does. Shoulders weren't square that time. Do we have a push? I projected last place team in the league when you're on the road.
They do have 16 offensive rebounds, but only 10 second chance points, so they usually convert at a much higher rate than that.
Now they come up empty at the free throw line again. Well, North Carolina, 3 of their last 12 from the floor. Georgia Tech, 5 of their last 9. Yellow Jackets have gotten to the free throw line far more often. 14 more free throws. Look at Okogie from Heath.
Well, North Carolina has not figured out how to defend that play, and Okogie scored most of his points on back cuts like that from the wing.
This could be, along with the Virginia Tech blowout of Duke, the 2 big stories in all of college basketball today. Barry from downtown, not there. Williams the rebound. Jackson with a flush. Roy Williams urging his team to play some strong defense here, and they need it.
Yeah, they've got to extend the ball up the floor. Let's see, they do a little running and jumping.
Well, you know that the pressure's coming full court, and these guards are going to have to deal with it. To this point, though, Okogie, Moore, and Heath have handled it as well as you could expect, but it's going to reach a different level now. Rest assured. There's Okogie. He's got Britt on his hip. Loose ball, Lammers. The ball was actually deflected, but right into Lammers' hands. Wow. The lead remains at 8.
Against the press, you've got to attack to score. Don't be passive against it. And Okogie, he bailed him out. It was almost a 5-second call on the front end. He did a good job coming up as a receiver.
Jackson in the lane with a floater. Well, the Iron just tantalizingly unkind to North Carolina. And over the top, a bailout foul against Georgia Tech that will help him out. Okogie gets it.
10-team foul.
And you can see how that ball was tipped away, and the beneficiary was Ben Lammers.
Right spot at the right time.
But I love what you said. I love what you said, though. He helped him out by coming to receive that pass. He did get it far enough that at least something good could happen on the other end of the floor.
Yeah, I thought the guys up at the front of that press for Georgia Tech were running away from the basketball. You've got to be strong and come to it. And I would suspect for the last 2:23 that you're going to see full court pressure by North Carolina.
So much of this team in North Carolina, a part of that run to the national title game a year ago, but this is a new year and a new season in the ACC.
Tim, they've got 3 guys who have played 100 career games out there and one that's played 95.
And you would think that in the last couple of minutes here, they will come up with whatever it takes to make a comeback. But on the wing, there it is again from Okogie. They've dug themselves quite a hole now. It's a 9-point lead. Okogie with 20.
I'd see an early front runner. I know it's the first game of the year, but for freshman of the year, you know, it's going to be an interesting race with Dennis Smith.
How about the ball movement leading to this 3?
Well, this is all, again, just everybody collapsing and a great extra pass right there by Moore to set up that 3.
Well, Josh Pazner said he was happy to see us. The last time you and I were together with him, was in the NCAAs when he was coaching Memphis against St. Louis. Rick Majerus was the coach of that team. That was the last game Rick won before he passed away. And now here he is in a position to do something to North Carolina that hasn't been done in a long time in this building. Lammers has it, and he's fouled.
They're going for the tie-up, and they got the foul.
That goes against Nate Britt, his third.
So now they're in the double bonus, so Georgia Tech shooting 2 free throws from here on out.
And Lammers at the line shooting 2.
And to show the offense, Tim, I mean, with Lammers, 60% from the floor and 74% from the line, so very reliable there, too. Very good for a big man.
The lead is 10 with 90 seconds remaining. Jackson, nice drive and a quick timeout by Roy with 1:26 remaining.
Kogi and Heath both 75% from the free throw line. Stevens 66, Lammers at 74. So you got Lammers out there as a high receiver.
There's the pressure. Heath goes right to the middle of the floor and gets the contact. That's what all coaches will tell their team. Make sure you're not caught on the side of the floor. Keep it in the middle, and that foul goes against Hicks, his fourth.
Well, if you're North Carolina and somehow if you can funnel the ball to Justin Moore, you got to wrap him up. He's 42% at the line. That's with the spacing and the driving of Georgia Tech able to do that. Huge disparity at the free throw line.
This series dates back to 1955. Coming into today, North Carolina winning 65 and only losing 24, and have won 7 in a row against Georgia Tech, and the lead now is double digit. And this alumni gathering for the North Carolina faithful in Atlanta has not gone as well as they thought. We've got a tie ball situation, and it belongs to Georgia Tech. I mean, you think about it, Mike, everything that could be working against a home team was working against Georgia Tech today.
They're playing in a bowl game later. All their season ticket holders are gone.
School's out.
No students.
And a crowd that's probably larger in Blue Heaven colors than Georgia Tech's black and gold.
See, that's the other thing that Lammers gives you, that receiver and that inbound play against the press.
And a quick foul given up. At this stage, Roy just needs to get the clock stopped. It's more the enemy than the score. And Britt picks up the foul, his fourth.
Josh Okogie at the line shooting.
Okogie is at the free throw line. Considered a 3-star recruit when coming out. He's been 5 stars today. Our performance of the game brought to you by our local Chevy dealers. And look at that. He's been remarkable.
I'd say it was a 5-star performance today.
Yes, indeed.
Especially, there were a lot of firsts for freshmen, Tim. Your first ACC game is not an easy thing to go through.
Well, with Duke next up on the Georgia Tech schedule, they at least may have some confidence going in. Britt can't get one to go. And there's Heath running down the loose ball. All those loose ball situations, Mike, have gone to Georgia Tech.
Yep, and,
all of them.
Smart play by Moore right there.
They're playing keep away at this stage, and Okogie is going to be the guy that goes to the line. Very wise for them to get the ball in his hands as Williams picks up the foul.
And this, Roy Williams was imploring his team to foul. He wanted it a lot earlier than with 18 seconds on the clock.
That shot by our director, Lonnie Dale, said it all. Young lady rising to attention, giving her team a standing ovation with a North Carolina fan sitting next to her. Sitting down. By the way, today's game is being produced by Alex Formatino, who wasn't born when Raycom began its coverage of ACC basketball.
I think he might have had something to do with that Virginia fan vote at halftime.
Maybe? Yeah. We're going to have someone challenging the voting process.
This is going to be one of the more shocking results of the basketball season so far.
No one saw this coming. Williams on the wing, it's just not there. And there's a putback by Isaiah Hicks. Start to the Josh Pazner era in the ACC. No getting around it.
I'm sure that the fans that are at the bowl game are happy that they're there, but when they see this result.
There's a quick double of Stevens. He needs help. Heath is there to provide it.
Just got it over to beat the 10-second clock.
Yep. And Jackson picks up the foul, his first. Justin Jackson's had a very poor offensive game, and they had been relying on him quite a bit. And there you see our next game coming up. Number 24, Notre Dame and Pittsburgh on most of these ACC stations along our network.
Notre Dame at 11-2 in a top 25 team. And, of course, we talked about Kevin Stallings, his first year at Pitt. They're 11-2 as well.
Talk about an outstanding, efficient offensive basketball team. Roy Williams has already gone down to shake the hand of Josh Pazner.
Class move there.
Yes, indeed.
And this is his first win in the ACC.
Yep.
Class move.
No question. And by the way, in all of our years of covering the game, there's no one that I enjoy being around any more than Roy.
He's very, very honest, very direct, and he was clearly well under the weather today, but took the time to speak with us anyway.
What a remarkable performance, though, for Josh Pazner's team in his debut as an ACC coach at only 39 years of age.